My future sister-in-law made me show my ID because she didn't believe I was older, then demanded I confess my sins. I said no, and everything blew up. She said it with a straight face, like she was the Pope. Like I needed her permission to sit in a church. I laughed. She uninvited me. Let's back up. I'm 31, the third of 4 siblings. The age gaps between us are wild. 40, 38, me, and then Luke, the baby, the golden boy. But if you met us in person, you'd swear I was the youngest. I've always had that kind of face. Soft, small, forever carded for wine. It's been a long-running family joke. Luke's fiancé didn't find it funny, didn't even crack a smile. Her name's Emma. She's fine. Pretty, polished, intense in the way sorority presidents used to be. You know the type. Always controlling the itinerary, the dress code, the wine list, the lighting. When Luke brought her home for the first time, I made the same joke I've made a dozen times. Wow, the baby finally brought home a proper girlfriend. Emma blinked. Then she scoffed. Not laughed. Scoffed. Like I just said something absurd. You're the younger sister? She asked. Nope, I'm older. By 4 years. She didn't believe me. Actually asked to see my ID, so I showed it. And that was the beginning of the power games. Emma has a thing about age. About being the eldest. About being the one in control. She has 2 younger sisters, and treats them like employees. And since that day, she's treated me the same. Like I'm some reckless freshman who needs to be reined in. But I'm not a child. I'm married, I own a business, I pay taxes and yell at potholes like the rest of them. Still, Emma talks to me like I need a curfew. She's not outwardly cruel. Just cold, bossy, dismissive in the most annoying, polite way possible. Always correcting, always commanding. And I learned early on, don't engage. Be polite, be distant, keep it civil for the family. And for the most part, that worked, until the wedding planning started. Now, you need to understand something. We're Catholic, all of us. Well, Catholic adjacent, culturally Catholic, but lapsed. Like, we do the weddings, the funerals, the occasional Christmas mass, but we're not waking up early for confession. I haven't taken communion in over a decade. Not out of rebellion, just it doesn't feel right anymore. But I'm respectful. I stand, I bow. I don't make a scene. I just don't lie to God for show. Seems fair, right? Not to Emma. Emma's doing the whole classic Catholic wedding bit. Church venue, Latin readings, matching flower girls and rosaries. Fine. Her day, her rules. She said I couldn't be in the wedding party because my marriage wasn't done in a church. Cool. Wasn't planning to hold a bouquet anyway. Then she asked the nuclear family to submit dress plans for approval. Again. Fine. I've worn worse for less. Then came the text that made me drop my phone. Just a reminder that all immediate family are expected to take communion during the ceremony. Please be sure to go to confession beforehand to keep things spiritually proper. Excuse me? No. Nope. Not doing that. I texted back, "Hi, Emma. Just a heads up. I won't be taking communion. I haven't been to confession in years and don't want to be disrespectful by faking it. Hope that's okay. Simple. Respectful." She replied an hour later, "I think it would look bad if you're the only family member who doesn't. Maybe you could make an exception? It's really just symbolic." I didn't respond right away because I was livid. It's just symbolic? Then why does it matter? It's a sacrament. You don't get to demand people fake a holy rite for your aesthetic. A few hours later, I got a call. Emma, voice like cold steel wrapped in a smile. She said she felt I was choosing to make things difficult. Said this wedding was about family unity. Said it would mean a lot if I just went to confession and took communion with everyone else. I told her, "Emma, I'm not doing that. If it's about unity, why are you singling me out?" She paused, then said, "Because I'm asking everyone in the immediate family." Everyone else agreed. So, what if I just take communion anyway and don't go to confession? Silence. Then, if that's your attitude, maybe you shouldn't come at all. I blinked, then laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd. You're uninviting me because I won't lie in a church for your photo op? I'm uninviting you because you're being difficult on purpose. I said, "Cool," gave a thumbs up no one could see, and hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood in the kitchen for 10 minutes replaying it in my head. Then I called Luke. He didn't answer. Texted me back a simple, "I think you owe her an apology." I stared at the message for 5 full minutes. Owe her an apology. For protecting my spiritual boundaries. Right. The next day, my mom called. She said she understood why I was upset. Said Emma was being a little too intense, but maybe I could just let it go. I asked, "Would you lie to a priest to keep the peace?" She sighed. Didn't answer. Then my dad got on the phone. Said the same thing. Emma means well. She just wants it all to be perfect. And I said, then she should have picked a family with less free will. Later that night, I called Grandma. She's 81, feisty. Doesn't care for drama, but always knows when something stinks. I told her the whole thing. She said, "You want to take communion? Take it. You don't, but don't lie about it either. God doesn't need your performance." Then she asked, "Do you want me to speak to the priest?" I told her no, but I had a feeling she'd do it anyway. Since then, half the family's been weird. Some cousins messaged me like, "Can't you just do it for the wedding?" One even said, "She's just trying to feel respected. You don't have to be so stubborn." But here's the thing. This was never about communion. It was never about religion. It was about control. Emma saw me as a threat from the moment I walked in looking younger than her. She's been trying to put me in my place ever since. And this time, she thought she could do it with scripture and sacraments. But I won't pretend to be something I'm not. Not for her. Not for a church. Not for family peace. The last message I sent Luke just said this. If she's making everyone else confess, I'll reconsider. Until then, don't contact me about This again. He never responded, which tells me what I need to know. They don't want unity. They want submission. And me? I'd rather sit outside the church in silence than kneel in front of a God I don't believe Emma even respects. Let her have her wedding. Let her have her communion. But if she wanted peace, she should have started with honesty. I wasn't going to go. That was the plan. Stay out of it. Let them implode in peace. But then Grandma called. And when Grandma calls, you don't ignore it, even if the world is burning. She said back, "Sweetheart, we're having lunch. Just lunch. You don't even have to look at her. Just come." So I did. I wore my I'm fine outfit. You know the one. Soft sweater, jeans, earrings that make you look like you have your life together. Luke and Emma were already there when I arrived. She didn't even look at me. Just sipped her wine like she was auditioning for Real Housewives, Vatican edition. My brothers were there. Lucy too. And Grandma at the head of the table like the queen she is. We made small talk. Ate like we weren't seconds away from bloodshed. Until Grandma set her fork down, folded her napkin, and said, "Let's clear the air." Silence. Even the ceiling fan stopped spinning. Emma blinked, smiled, and launched into a speech that sounded very rehearsed. I don't understand why there's such resistance. I wasn't trying to control anyone. I just wanted unity, respect. I asked for the bare minimum. I raised an eyebrow. Bare minimum? Asking someone to lie in church is your bare minimum? Emma kept going. It's not about the religion. It's about appearances. About the family. Looking respectful, I was just trying to make the ceremony feel cohesive. I opened my mouth, but Grandma beat me to it. And why does it matter so much if she doesn't take communion? Emma smiled tight. Because she's nuclear family. It would look odd. Grandma tilted her head. And I'm not nuclear family? Emma froze. The fork in her hand clinked against the plate. She recovered. Barely. Of course you are, ma'am, but you're different. I figured your reasons were more personal. Grandma leaned forward. So you're saying her reasons aren't personal? That she's doing this out of spite? Emma looked around like she was hoping someone would jump in. Nobody did. Not even Luke. I stared at my wine glass, waiting. Then Emma said it. She's been rude to me since day one. She treats Luke like a child. She makes jokes about her age to belittle me. And she's been snarky about not being in the bridal party. Snarky? I laughed, out loud. Emma, you think me saying I'm older than you is snark? She asked for my ID like she was TSA. She crossed her arms. It's the way you say things. You think you're better than me. Robert, my oldest brother, finally spoke. His voice was calm, low, but sharp. Why do you only have a problem with her not taking communion? Why not me? Emma blinked. What do you mean? He leaned forward. I'm lapsed too. I'm not going to confession. I'm not taking communion. But you didn't say a word to me. Emma looked like she just realized the room had a trap door and she was standing on it. I assumed you assumed I was devout? Even though I never said that? Even though you've known for months I'm not getting remarried in a church? Even though I married a woman without a single mention of God? Emma's eyes darted to Luke. He said nothing. Do you know why Grandma left the church? Robert continued. Emma looked pale. No. Robert turned to Grandma, silently asking permission. She nodded. I came out when I was 16, he said. I was terrified. I told Grandma before anyone else. She was the first person to know. You could hear a pin drop. She went to her priest, asked him how to support me. He told her I was going to hell, that I needed correction, that she needed to send me somewhere to fix me. Emma's mouth opened slightly, then closed. Grandma never went back, he said. She walked out, gave up her sacraments, spent that time with us instead. She chose love over ritual. Grandma spoke, her voice soft but firm. That was the moment the church failed me. I still love God, but I don't follow cruelty. Emma sat still, like a porcelain doll someone dropped and tried to glue back together. Then she asked, almost a whisper, "Why didn't you tell me?" Robert laughed. Because it wasn't your business, just like it's not your business to police someone else's faith. Luke finally spoke. Okay, but... Robert cut him off. Don't defend this. She's targeting one person and you're letting her. Emma's voice got sharp again. You think I want to be the villain here? I'm trying to keep things together. I tilted my head. Then, stop pretending this is about religion. It's about respect, or your version of it. Emma turned to Grandma. I just want to be accepted. Grandma looked at her for a long time. Then stop trying to earn it with control. Respect isn't submission. You can't bully someone into faith. Emma's face fell. Tears welled up. The performance began. You've all turned against me, even you. Grandma sighed. No, dear. You did that yourself. I'll always protect my own. And right now, you're hurting one of mine. Emma burst into tears. Luke looked like a kid who just got caught shoplifting. No one moved. Then Grandma stood. I think we're done here. She walked to the kitchen. Emma kept crying. Luke stayed seated, useless as ever. Robert leaned over and said quietly, "She's not ready for this family." I couldn't help it. I laughed again. Luke turned to me. You happy now? I shrugged. Not the one who brought up conversion therapy at lunch, bro. He didn't reply. When I left, Grandma hugged me. Said she was proud. Said standing firm isn't easy, but necessary. Robert gave me a ride home. We didn't talk much, just sat in the silence. Before I got out, he said, "You know this isn't over, right?" I nodded. It never is. Later that night, I got a group chat ping. Lucy had posted, "I'll only be attending the ceremony if therapy is part of the wedding prep. Sorry, not sorry." No one disagreed. Even the cousins started backing off. No one wanted to be dragged into Emma's orbit. Emma texted me once, a wall of emotional paragraphs. I didn't respond. Luke? Dead silent. I'm officially re-invited to the wedding. Hard pass. You can't force people to believe in what you believe. Not with guilt, not with tradition, not with tears. Emma thought she was orchestrating a symphony, but the moment someone played a different note, she lost the plot. And Grandma? She saw through the show. Because love isn't obedient. It's honest, it's hard, it's earned. I thought we'd hit the worst of it. After the confession stunt, after the lunch, after Emma cried like she'd been stabbed because Grandma didn't validate her delusion, I thought we were done. We weren't, because Luke wasn't done. It started with a phone call. Not to me, to Grandma. He waited a few days, just enough time to let the dust settle. Then he called her, said he wanted to talk. What he actually wanted was to hurt her. She told me everything later. Her voice was tight, controlled, like she didn't want to cry in front of me. He said I always chose Robert, she whispered, that I made him feel like second best, that I abandoned the church for a favorite. I didn't speak. I couldn't, because I felt my stomach sink to the floor. He said the cousins talk about it too, that they all think Robert is my golden boy, that I wouldn't do the same for any of them. My hands clenched. He told me that when I left the church after Robert came out, it made the rest of them feel like they didn't matter. I looked at her, eyes glossy, shoulders small, and I wanted to scream. Let me tell you something about my grandma. She is not fragile, she is steel. She raised 4 kids during a war, buried a husband too early, and still hosted every Christmas like the Queen of England. She's the kind of woman who folds napkins like a weapon and keeps extra cookies for the hungry ones who won't admit it. But that call made something inside her crack, not break, just enough to let the cold in, because she believed him. Not the lies, but the fear, that maybe she'd made someone feel unloved, that maybe all the years of being strong had made someone else feel invisible. So what did she do? She called every single grandchild, one by one, oldest to youngest, told them the story, told them what Luke said, then asked softly, "Do you feel like I love you less?" The responses? No. God, no. Absolutely not. You were the only one who made me feel safe. And then came the group chat. It lit up like fireworks, because some cousins were livid. Robert was first. He didn't yell, didn't curse. He just said, "So we're pretending Grandma leaving a toxic priest was about favoritism now?" Then, "Luke, I babysat you. I covered for you. I drove you to your first party. And now you're using my sexuality to manipulate the one person who loved you unconditionally?" He ended it with, "Don't speak to me again." Silence. Then the chat erupted. Sarah, our youngest cousin, 16, small, sharp as a knife. "You made Grandma cry. You're dead to me." Milo, who lives out of state. "You're mad no one clapped for you. That's not trauma, that's narcissism." Even Michael chimed in. "The cousin who never speaks unless someone dies. This is embarrassing. Go to therapy, bro." It was a Pyleon. Unfiltered. Unapologetic. "And Luke?" He responded. "Oh," he responded. He said Robert never cared about anyone but himself. Said coming out was a performance. Said marrying a woman was just another act. That having a baby before his graduation was a selfish attention grab. Let that sit for a second. He's talking about a man who hid his sexuality for years, who announced his wedding via text, who never once made an event about him unless it was about him. He's talking about a man who paid our cousin's rent, who showed up at 2 a.m. when Sarah's boyfriend dumped her in a parking lot, who threw birthday parties for nieces and nephews like they were celebrities. But sure, Luke, he just wanted attention. I sat there watching the chat spiral, messages flying, lines drawn, all because Luke needed someone to blame for Emma being universally disliked. And Grandma? She sat quietly, reading it all. She messaged me later. I didn't know he felt that way, but even if he did, why weaponize it now? I didn't have an answer, because Luke wasn't lashing out from pain. He was lashing out from exposure. Emma got called out, so he needed a diversion. And what's easier than blaming the queer sibling and the grandma who didn't disown him? Robert didn't cry. He never does. But his silence was louder than any scream. He texted me privately. "It's not about me. It never was. He's just lost and hates that we noticed." He also said, "I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not rescuing someone who throws me under the bus." I said I understood, then stared at my screen for hours. And me? I tried to stay quiet, but it didn't work. Because something about that call, the way Luke tried to fracture a woman who held us together for decades, it made something burn in me. So I texted Luke directly, not in the group, privately. "You made her cry. You? Not Robert. Not me. Not the cousins. You chose a woman over your own family. That's your right. But don't rewrite history to make it easier to swallow." He didn't reply, but I saw the 3 dots. Then nothing. Good. Later that week, I went to visit Grandma. She was better. A little. She baked for Sarah, watched a movie with Lucy's kids, sat beside me and asked, "Do you think I was too harsh?" I said no, because she wasn't. She was honest. She said, "I'm old. I don't want to leave this world with regrets." I squeezed her hand. "Then stop apologizing for loving us." As for Luke, he's still with Emma, still pretending everything's fine. Some cousins have unfollowed him. Some are still trying to stay neutral, but the dynamic shifted. Because once you break Grandma's heart, there's no coming back from that. And you know what? It's not even about church, or communion, or confession. That was just the match. The fire, that was years of entitlement, of always being the baby, of never being told no. And now that someone finally did, he threw a tantrum so loud it cracked the family in half. I don't hate him. I wish I did. It would be easier. But I miss who he used to be. Before Emma, before this campaign, now he's just a shell. All ego, no soul. And when the wedding comes, if it even does, he won't see me there. or Robert, or half the people he thought would never leave. Because love is earned, respect is mutual, and once you burn your bridges to the ground, don't expect us to walk through the fire to find you. We didn't want him completely gone. Not yet. As much as Luke pissed us off, as much damage as he did to Grandma, he was still family. So someone came up with the idea of a test run, a lunch, neutral ground, just to see if he and Emma could behave like adults in public. Spoiler, they couldn't. We booked it at our cousin Leah's house. Big yard, chill vibes, safe zone. Grandma didn't come, too tired, emotionally mostly. Everyone else showed up though. Cousins, kids, aunties, and Luke. With Emma attached like she'd been sewn onto his side, they looked fake, smiles just a little too wide. Emma laughed too loud. Luke kept squeezing her shoulder like he was trying to remind her to be on. Sarah saw them and immediately turned around. Bathroom, she muttered. None of us believed her. Now, if you've forgotten, Sarah's the youngest cousin, 16, sharp tongue, raised more by Grandma and Robert than by her own parents. She used to adore Luke, until he weaponized Grandma's love and called Robert a narcissist. She hadn't spoken to him since, didn't plan to. But Emma had other ideas. The lunch started fine. Burgers, lemonade, casual catch-ups. Luke hovered. Emma lurked. And every time Sarah passed by, Emma tried to make eye contact. Hi, Sarah. Love your hair. Cute shirt. Sarah ignored her like a pro, until Emma couldn't take it anymore. It happened fast. Sarah was walking back from the kitchen with a soda. Emma stepped in front of her, blocked her path, then reached out and grabbed her arm. Hard. Sarah, she said, all stern and low. You need to stop being disrespectful. And Sarah? Oh, Sarah snapped. She yanked her arm back and yelled, Don't touch me, who do you think you are? Forks dropped. Silence. Emma stepped back like she'd been hit. Hands in the air, fake tears already forming. I was just trying to talk. Sarah cut her off. Talk with your words, not your hands. Luke ran over like he was saving someone from a burning building. Wrapped his arm around Emma. Calm down, he told Sarah. Wrong move. Sarah took a step forward and said, You let her disrespect our family. You let her break Grandma. Now she puts hands on me? You don't get to tell me to calm down. Luke opened his mouth, then saw the rest of us watching. Waiting. Me, Robert, Lucy. Even the quiet cousins were standing now. He didn't say another word. Just walked Emma away like a bodyguard escorting a loose cannon. The party broke down after that. People left early. The mood was dead. Emma didn't apologize. Luke didn't either. But the group chat lit up within the hour. First message was from Milo. Did that really just happen? Then Leah. She grabbed Sarah. She's lucky that's all Sarah did. Michael chimed in. I've seen Sarah throw a shoe across a room and hit someone in the eye. Emma picked the wrong target. I added, hitting a teenager isn't a vibe, babe. Sarah replied, I'm blocking her. Forever. I don't care what Grandma says. Emma tried to play the victim. The next day, she texted everyone, claimed she panicked, said she just wanted to reconnect with Sarah, said she barely touched her. No one bought it. Not even the cousins who'd been riding the fence, even Lucy, who'd tried so hard to stay neutral, finally picked a side. She posted in the chat, let's be clear. Emma grabbing Sarah was assault. If she can't manage herself around teenagers, she shouldn't be around them. Luke didn't respond. Not in the chat. Not privately. But word spread fast. And Emma? She went full meltdown. Apparently, she cried to her parents, told them she was being bullied, said our family was mean and cliquey, that we were jealous of her elegance. Her elegance. Girl, you just got screamed at by a teenager in a backyard. Anyway, her parents, who are just polished, older versions of her, called my parents, told them Grandma should have handled the situation better, said Sarah needed to apologize, asked if the cousins could be reminded to stay respectful. My dad told them, respect is earned, and your daughter's overdrafted. Click. Then came the next layer of cringe. Luke gave a speech to my parents, in person. He said Emma was hurting, that she was ostracized, that we were refusing to see her as part of the family. Then, dead serious, what he said, she offered to make Sarah a bridesmaid to repair things. My mom laughed, out loud, not a polite laugh, a what the actual hell laugh. My dad said, she grabbed her, and you think the solution is matching dresses? Luke doubled down, said Emma was extending an olive branch. Sarah's response, she barked, like a dog. Not kidding. She looked Luke in the eyes and said, woof, woof, then walked out, and the room fell dead silent. Luke looked like he'd been slapped. His face went red. His jaw clenched. Then, like clockwork, he ran to Aunt Lydia and Uncle Brent, told them Sarah was out of control, demanded she be grounded. They said, you're right, we're grounding her, and made her carry party gifts to the car for 15 minutes. That's it. That was the punishment, because no one actually believes Luke anymore. At this point, Emma's blocked by half the family. Luke's barely tolerated. They're still getting married, supposedly. The wedding guest list has shrunk. A lot. What was supposed to be 200 people? Now it's 100, maybe. The venue changed. It's in a backyard now. I handed out invites like flyers at Grandma's birthday party. No one was impressed. Some people left them on the table. She even forced Grandma to open hers in front of guests. Grandma said, thank you, then continued her conversation with someone else. I've never been prouder. Now Luke's ignoring Robert in public. Not subtly. He'll walk right past him at family events like he doesn't exist. Robert just smiles, shrugs, walks the other way. Emma stares at me like she's building a voodoo doll in her mind. But I don't engage, I just keep sipping my drink. Sarah? She's thriving. Blocked them both. Got a new haircut. Told Grandma she's never going to that wedding even if they offer her cash and a pony. She said, I'd rather pick ants out of a picnic table with my eyelashes. Valid. So where are we now? Emma's reputation is toast. Luke's walking around like a kid who lost his lunch money and refuses to admit it. Cousins are openly making memes about the whole thing. There's one of Emma with a leash and the caption, respect me or else. Even Grandma laughed at that one. She told Sarah, next time she grabs you, bite. We're not sure if she was joking. There's no resolution yet. Just tension. A weird, uncomfortable countdown to March 27th, the wedding. Will it happen? Will Luke actually go through with it? We don't know. But what we do know, you touch one of ours, especially a teenager, you better be ready for war. Because this family, we may fight with each other, but when someone steps out of line, we close ranks, and we bite back. There's this thing about family. You can yell, you can curse, you can cry, but when Grandma's birthday rolls around, you show up. You show up because she showed up for all of us, every single time. She turned 81, which in Grandma years is probably 300. She's seen wars, weddings, divorces, and way too many Catholic potlucks. But this birthday, this one meant more, because after everything, after Luke's phone call, after the cousin group chat war, after Emma tried to play victim while grabbing a teenager, Grandma still stood tall, so we threw her the kind of party she deserved. And then, of course, Luke and Emma made it about themselves. Again. The day started beautifully. Cousins flew in, nieces brought handmade cards, Lucy's kids performed a weird but adorable violin. Duet that sounded like a dying raccoon, and Grandma loved it. There was laughter. Real, loud, belly-deep laughter. The kind of joy you can't fake, can't force, can't bribe. And in walks Luke, with Emma, wearing white, to Grandma's birthday. Let that sink in. We tried to ignore them. We smiled. We poured drinks. We handed out plates. Emma smiled too, but hers looked painful, like her face was fighting gravity. Then it happened. The sound of stiff paper fanning out, the slight metallic shimmer of gold-foiled lettering, wedding invitations, hand-delivered, at a birthday party, like coupons, like junk mail. She handed one to Robert's wife first, then my husband, then the aunts, the uncles, all while smiling like she was doing us a favor. My husband looked down at the envelope and said, "Oh, we're doing this now?" Emma didn't answer, just kept moving like a paper-pushing robot. Then she got to Grandma. Now, for context, Grandma has a rule. She never opens cards or gifts during parties. Says it's rude to show joy or disappointment in front of a crowd. Keeps things private. Dignified. But Emma leaned in and said, "Could you open it now, please?" Grandma paused, looked at her, then at Luke, then back at the envelope. Everyone was watching, so she opened it, read it, smiled politely, then placed it beside her plate like a parking ticket, and continued her conversation. No gasps, no announcement, no giddy, "my grandson's getting married" moment, just indifference. Emma's smile cracked. And then came Sarah, because of course, it wouldn't be a party without a plot twist. Luke walked over, half smiling. "Hey, so Emma and I talked, and she really wants to fix things with you." Sarah blinked. Luke continued, "So we'd like to invite you to be a bridesmaid." The silence that followed, biblical, and then Sarah, bless her sarcastic, chaotic little soul, looked him dead in the eye and said, "Woof, woof." She turned around and left. Luke stood there like he'd been slapped with a baguette, face red, shoulders locked. He turned to our aunt and uncle and said, "Are you going to discipline her?" They nodded. "She'll carry Grandma's gifts to the car for 15 minutes. He didn't speak again for the rest of the day. The best part? He tried to hand more invites after that, but no one took them. Some were left on tables. Some got accidentally dropped in the drink coolers. One invite mysteriously ended up in the fruit salad. Emma kept collecting the abandoned ones like a sad little party planner chasing confetti. Meanwhile, Grandma? She was glowing, surrounded by people who actually loved her, who didn't manipulate her, who didn't demand sacraments or drama or control, just presence. She laughed with Sarah, held Robert's baby, told Lucy's husband his new haircut made him look less unemployed. She was the center of our world, the real kind of matriarch people write novels about. And Emma watched from the corner, watched and seethed. A few days later, I got a text from Luke. "We didn't deserve that kind of treatment. At Grandma's party?" I didn't reply. Because what do you even say to that? You handed out wedding invites like sales flyers. You made the day about yourselves. You got rejected, and now you're mad the room didn't bend around your ego? Please. Then came the real finale. Grandma's decision. She called me the next evening, said she was done pretending, said she'd made her choice. "I'm not going." Just like that. She told Luke, told Emma, told everyone. She would not attend the wedding, would not witness a union built on control, disrespect, and passive-aggressive trauma. She said, "I've survived enough. I don't need to survive that too." You'd think Luke would take it as a wake-up call. But no, he doubled down. "She's siding with the drama," he told our mom. "They're all trying to sabotage us." Sabotage? Dude, you're handing out invitations at birthday parties and getting barked at by teenagers. You did this. Not us. The wedding's still on, March 27th. Family backyard, about 100 people. Emma's still pretending nothing happened. Luke's still playing the victim. And the rest of us? We're planning a beach weekend. Yep. While they say "I do" in front of rented chairs and passive-aggressive smiles, we'll be sipping iced tea, burying each other in the sand, and toasting to Grandma's sanity. This story doesn't have a big redemption arc. No tidy bow, no dramatic apology or Kometo Jesus moment. Sometimes the villain doesn't get punished. Sometimes the hero doesn't want revenge. Sometimes we just walk away. Not to spite you, but to save ourselves. And if Luke ever wants to come back, he knows where the door is. But he better knock, and he better come alone.